The U.S. delegation in the UN has drawn up a draft resolution that for the first time calls for a ceasefire in Gaza. The resolution doesn't lay out a timeline and doesn't demand a permanent end to the fighting, but it signals a shift on Gaza within the Biden White House. The U.S. has vetoed several UN resolutions from other nations demanding an immediate and permanent ceasefire. This is a temporary ceasefire, just to stress. Israel, meanwhile, is now calling for additional evacuations in northern Gaza. This is the part of the territory that's been decimated by months of shelling. Nearly 1.5 million people needed an initial order by Israel to evacuate, but tens of thousands of people stayed behind. They're now being urged to head south because of food shortages that have left 1 in 6 kids in northern Gaza severely underfed. The only area left in the territory that's relatively safe is Rafah in the south. But Israel is now threatening to invade the city to clear out remaining Hamas fighters. Correspondent Sarah Coates is in Tel Aviv. She joins us now with more. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Jay. This change in language there by the United States certainly appears to show a shift in policy. What we can tell you is there are 2 competing resolutions at the UNSC, that resolution there that you mentioned by Algeria that was put forward 2 weeks ago that calls for an immediate ceasefire. It is expected to be vetoed by the United States. The US putting forward its own draft resolution, which is for a temporary ceasefire. It says this would come in as soon as practicable. It also includes that Israel cannot redraw the borders of Gaza. What we have been seeing there is Israel dozing, building a buffer zone inside part of Gaza, which has taken away a fair bit of territory. Also, that it should not conclude or begin, I should say, this operation down in that southern city of Rafah, which it is warning that it will do by Ramadan, which falls around the 10th of March, if these hostages are not returned. So what this vote will need is 9 votes, no abstentions, no vetoes for it to go through. So we're yet to see what happens with that, with a lot of discussion happening there at the UN today. Also today, we can report that a senior Hamas delegation is right now in Cairo, including the leader of Hamas's political bureau, Ismail Haniyeh. They are there for talks with senior Egyptian officials on ways to end this war. Also, a potential hostage deal, which would see Palestinian prisoners freed with Israeli prisoners, or Israeli hostages, I should say, brought back here to Israel. Another important thing to note is that the US's Mideast envoy, Brett McGurk, he's set to touch down also in Cairo tomorrow for talks with officials, just really showing how much pressure and how much effort the United States is putting in to get some sort of a deal done to get these hostages out before I mentioned that Ramadan deadline, Jay.
All right, correspondent Sarah Coates live for us in Tel Aviv. Thank you.